Vice President JD Vance is breaking his silence as attacks against his wife, Usha Vance. In a blunt, profanity-laced message during an interview with Unheard, Vance declared that anyone who disparages his wife can eat, calling it his official policy as the nation's second highest executive. Vance's comments came as he defended Usha against critics from across the political spectrum, from controversial podcaster Nick Fuentes to former Biden press secretary Jen Psaki, both of whom have been publicly critical or mocking of her. This sharp rebuke was not just personal. Vance used it to strike back at what he calls racist and ethnically charged attacks, saying there is no place in politics for bigotry or personal attacks on family members. While he denounced those comments, Vance also dismissed the influence of extremist figures within conservative circles, saying their reach is often overstated and detracts from broader policy debates. The message comes amid broader tensions within the Republican movement over ideological divides, particularly around issues like U.S. foreign policy, social values, and the rise of fringe voices.
More than any time I can recount, people are talking about American identity and figuring out what it is that unites us. But I want to say something here. The only thing that is truly served as an anchor of the United States of America is that we have been, and by the grace of God, we always will be, a Christian nation. I'm not saying you have to be a Christian to be an American. I'm saying something simpler and truer. Christianity is America's creed. The shared moral language from the Revolution to the Civil War and beyond. I have heard you. I know that some of you are impatient at the pace of progress, and my response to that is good. Be impatient. Use that desire for justice for your country as fuel to get involved in this movement in a bigger and better and more powerful way. I know some of you are discouraged by the infighting over any number of issues. Don't be discouraged. Wouldn't you rather lead a movement of free thinkers who sometimes disagree than a bunch of drones who take their orders from George Soros?
For now, the vice president has made his stance unmistakably clear. Personal attacks on his wife cross a line, and Washington should take notice.
If you call Usha Vance, the Second Lady of the United States of America, a Jeet, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement. And if you can't say those things without stuttering, then you have no place as a leader at any level in the conservative movement either. Certainly not in my state of Ohio. Now, does this mean those who have espoused these views or even said these things are bad people? Right? Because it's easy to come here and denounce the woke left. That part's super easy. Coming up here and denouncing a bunch of groypers, in the conservative movement, a little bit harder, but in the scheme of things, I could care less. Pretty easy for me. The hard part is asking the question of where we go from here. This is what our country actually requires. This is what true leadership demands. And we ask the question, are these bad people for saying these things? And I think the answer to that question, I think I'm going to tell you something that both Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson ought to be able to agree on. I think they will. Are these bad people? I think the answer to that question is no, because there's no such thing as an inherently bad person, actually. See, the Christian faith that Charlie espoused teaches us that every one of us, every one of you is made in the image of God. My Hindu faith teaches us that God and his divinity resides in each of us, that we're truly equal in the most moral sense. There's no such thing as an inherently bad person. There's only ever an inherently good person that exists. But sometimes, good people do and say bad things. They believe they're doing the right thing, but they're still doing the wrong thing. And the job of a true leader is to understand why, and then to step up and actually fix it. And the issue in our country right now, all jokes aside, is that we are in the middle. All of this, everything we've just talked about, from the woke left to the groyper right, these are symptoms of a generational crisis of purpose and meaning in our country. Depression, anxiety, addiction, higher than we've ever seen in American history. in your generation, in Gen Z. Economic insecurity, which I understand, feeling like you work hard, not quite getting ahead. Home ownership out of reach for a 30-year-old. Took on that four-year college debt and degree, but without being able to get that right job, has created economic angst. You combine that with the failures of an educational system that are failing our youth day to day, when 75% of eighth graders are not proficient in math, and 70% of them aren't proficient in reading. Something that makes the left upset when I say it because they think that's racist, and something that makes some of my friends on the right upset because they take it as a personal insult. The truth is, years of woke indoctrination and victimhood psychology in our schools, we were complaining about it not because we were culture warriors alone, but because that has consequences. So we have to fix it, and it's up to us to do this now. And I mean this message as bitter medicine for everyone in my shoes, leadership in the Republican Party, myself included, to swallow. Now we can't blame the Democrats anymore. Truth is, we won the election last year. We control all three branches of the federal government. In my home state, we control all three branches of the state government. If we don't get this right now, we have nobody left to blame but ourselves. That is on us. That is the standard you hold us to. And if we fail, vote us the heck out of office. That is the fate we deserve. So that's on us now. No more just, cable news screaming about Schumer shutdowns or whatever it is, right? It bores me. It doesn't matter. It's up to us. We have a chance to lead with our own vision. Blaming the Democrats isn't enough. That's on us. But I also have an ask in closing of each of you here tonight, especially Gen Z, especially the next generation of young conservatives who I believe are actually going to save this country. Do not repeat the mistakes of the woke left. The number one mistake of the woke left, I will ask you, I will implore you not to repeat as young conservatives, is don't be a victim. The number one factor, thank you. Victimhood culture from the left or the right will be the ruin of this country. The number one factor, not the only factor, but the number one factor that determines whether each and every one of you achieves your goals in life is actually you. That's the truth. John F. Kennedy famously said it, and I think we should heed his words. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And the first step today is to ask, what can you actually do for yourself so you're not dependent on your government, so you're not dependent on the generation that came before you? That's not too much to ask, because we are still the greatest country known to the history of mankind. This is the greatest country planet Earth has ever known, and that American dream that defines us is real. I know it's real because I have lived that American dream. I know so many in Gen Z are skeptical of it. I know so many of you feel like you have to see it to believe it. But I will ask you in closing, as Charlie Kirk taught me, sometimes you have to believe it to see it. That is what faith in our country is all about.